I very much appreciate that mentality because I think, and I'd love to know your perspective on this. So many artists I find kind of have the idea of like if it's not the perfect song, then it doesn't get to see the light of day.
Right.
They end up they write these songs and they end up shelving half of them or more than half of them and only release, they'll write 30 songs for an album and release 12. You know what I mean? It's like
Yep.
I always find that so fascinating because like how do you know that I wasn't gonna love that one just because you didn't love it? Like it might touch me in a specific way, and I just find that super fascinating because there's I have a whole bunch of music out there, and I'm so surprised when somebody's like, "Oh, I love this song of yours," and I'm like, "Shoot, I hate that song." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I just didn't like how it came out, but it's your favorite song of mine. You know what I mean? And it just oh,
But that's the
that's
unpredictability of music, though.
absolutely,
That's the
absolutely.
unpredictability. Like I think, um, was it Neil that wrote "Irreplaceable" for Beyonce?
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, "Oh, I didn't really care about the song. I just was like, it's cool." But
Mm-hmm.
then she's like, "I love this record," and she puts it out, and it becomes a number one hit. Like the music is so unpredictable.
It
Like you
really
don't,
is,
don't
man.
know. You might write a song like, it's okay, but then that's a song that somebody really needed in their really dark time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and it's so funny, man. Like, cause I talk about this all the time in the sense of like I have this one song out there that did particularly well out of all the other ones that I've released, right? And I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, the production on that could have been 10 times better.
Mm-hmm.
The lyrics, like the vocals, I wish they're too loud compared to the and it's like nobody cared. You know what I mean? Like, and then I put out a track and I'm like this is a banger and
Right.
it does all right, you know what I mean, but it's just so unpredictable and you never know. I find that so fascinating, but I like what you said though. That's a really interesting perspective, especially with modern media, I guess is the way. The traditional route is you write a song, you record it, you release it as a single. Well, it's kind of different today. You could release it as a moment on Instagram, you could release it just as a YouTube video,
Yep.
you could, that's actually a very fascinating and interesting way to think of the music industry
Mm-hmm.
because it could blow up on YouTube, and get a couple million views, and like that is fantastic. You know what I mean? That's just as
Right.
good as a single on Spotify doing that. It is, but it
Right.
doesn't necessarily hold the weight of pressure of releasing a song on Spotify. You know what I
But
mean?
here's the thing, like I think as songwriters, like our objective is not necessarily to release the music sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially in the mass space. Like there's a lot of songs we don't release, or we don't even record, and it's because it's a sacred space,
Mm-hmm.
and we're totally fine wasting everything at the feet of Jesus. It's
Mm-hmm.
like certain songs that we're like, oh, we might not ever record this, or it
Yeah.
might not do crazy in numbers, or it might not ever do whatever. But like, it isn't about like numbers. At least for a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us, like it's not about numbers.
Yeah.
It's just about like I just want to bless the heart of the Father, and if He decides to take this like altar in the form of a song and spread it
Mm.
across the globe for everyone to have an opportunity to meet with Him
Yeah.
through this particular record, thing, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so
Absolutely.
there's a lot of things we don't release, and there's a lot of things we do. So I think it's just finding that line of like, hey, we should probably put this out. This will probably be a blessing to people. They're like, hey, we might just want to keep this one sacred for a second because I don't know, like it's something. It just feels really special, and it's like, well, we'll release it later.
Mm.
I mean,
Absolutely. I actually really appreciate that perspective. Absolutely.